Hey everybody, Matt Hatton here, you old blacksmith shop. I'm just sitting here hanging out in the forge today. I wanted to show you something. What I have is an old bolt. This was bought from the wife of a blacksmith that had passed away. Her husband did, and anyways, she had all this steel out there, various types, different things. So I made her an offer, and she thought it was a good deal. And I actually still have another truckload that I need to go get as soon as the weather breaks enough to where I can get out there. But anyways, what I wanted to show you was the beginning of forging a leaf. The first thing that you need to do is you need to take the bar, whatever you're using, whether it be square stock, round stock, hexagonal stock, doesn't matter, and you need to point it down. So I give it a point on one side and a point on the other side. Okay. So what I'm talking about is I'll take the hammer, lay it on the vise, and I'll strike it to point the end, and then I'll flip it the other way and strike it to point it this way. Okay. That's the first step. The second step would be you need to determine which side is going to be face up. So usually I'll pick the best point, like here. You can see I tried to mark it with some soapstone here. I'm going to take that point right there, and I'm going to have it up facing me. Okay. I'm going to go so far back, about a ½ inch or whatnot. About this far back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt it to the side of the anvil. So the edge is right here. And I'm going to put that point up. And I'm going to give it a half-face blow, turn it, give it another half-face blow, turn it, give it another half-face blow. That'll create a gap in the back side, and let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you. I'm going to heat my bar up. What it does is it begins to separate the head of the leaf, so to speak, from the stem. And then all you have to do is draw that stem out, or you can leave it on the head of the tool. Some of the things that you've seen me make before, I really like to leave that leaf on there and curve it around the rod or the tool or whatever to make a handle. But as soon as this thing gets heated up here, we'll go ahead and I'll do my half-face blows. Alright everybody, what I've done is, if you can forgive my big belly, what I've done is I put the anvil in a position where you can see this outside edge. Okay. This will be where I create the neck for the flower, or for the leaf, I should say, the main leaf. I'm going to take my hot piece of steel. I'm going to remember that I wanted this right here, the edge up, that sharp point up. So I'm going to draw it back, I'm going to place it at an angle on the edge of the anvil, and I'm going to give a blow. What I've done, if you can see, I've started to create the space for the neck where I want it to separate from the stem of the leaf to the leaf itself. Alright, now I have the bulk of what I'm going to forge the leaf out of separated from the stem. So I'm going to take this, put it back in the forge, and get it up to forging temperature. Alright guys, as we're waiting here for the forge to heat up there, I've only actually got one burner on. I'm trying to conserve propane here. Typically what I do is I'll light up all 3 burners, and then once the forge actually gets hot, I'll turn it down to either 1 or 2 burners. And for this operation, just this small steel, I really don't need 2 burners going. But anyways, while it's heating up there real quick, I wanted to show you something else. Some people would ask me how I got the veins on some of the leaves. Typically what I do is I'll take a chisel, a cold chisel, such as this one, which has actually got a big nick out of it, so I'm going to have to redress this. What I'll do is I'll take just a plain cold cut chisel for cold steel, and I'll get me a small can of water, and I'll keep it beside where I'm cutting, and I'll just take the chisel and make the marks, and then every hit or every other hit I'll take the chisel and dip it in the water. That way I don't lose the temper that's already here in this steel. And of course, as this gets hotter, you know, it will bend and it's pointless. So I watched a video not too long ago, actually it's been a couple of years ago, where the guy made a leaf vein die, and he used it on his little power hammer, which I wish I had one, but I don't. What I did is I took a little piece of round steel, about 1 inch, and then, as you can see, I took and ground grooves in it. Well, this one worked great. It's been used and used and used. The edges started to wear. So me being the bright guy that I am, I decided I'm going to redress this up. Well, when I did, I rounded this out with a round file instead of making a nice deep groove. And when I would take the steel and hammer it into it, it just bounced around and wouldn't really do anything. So what I've done is I've taken a 1 inch bar of steel, and I've done the same thing, except this time I've used a cold chisel. And what I did was just get my trace line down the middle first, down through here, and then once I got it set, I just kept going over and over and over until I got the depth that I wanted. And then I started on the veins of the leaf. So now all I have to do is put this thing in the vise, like so, hold the material at the angle I want it to get the leaves in the right direction, and then hammer it into it. And then the hot metal will actually flow down into the grooves that I've left. So, but anyways, let's get that piece of steel is ready to go. So we're going to set this back up so you can see it here. Nice and hot, nice good orange temperature is where I like to forge my own steel at. I will find my point that I want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain this point, and then I'm going to hammer on the other side. And all I'm doing is I'm flattening this out. So as I do my hammering, I'm going to take my hammer and drive it down and away. That way on this side of the leaf, it's going to draw that steel that way. And then whenever I hammer on this side of the leaf, I'm going to pull it towards me. Okay? That way it'll flatten the base of the leaf this way, and I'll direct the metal to flow this way. Okay? Now I've done lost my heat, so I'm going to stick that back in there real quick. And we'll get it heated up real quick. And then I'll go ahead and hammer out the rest of that leaf, and I'll show you how I flow the metal. If you imagine, you're going to take this piece of metal like this. You're going to have that pointy edge up, okay? And your idea is to hammer on either side of this pointy edge. So as you're doing it, you're driving this part out, and you're driving this part out, and then you're flattening the whole thing. But you got to maintain this point because, you know, to make it look like a real leaf, pointiness is there. I know it's not leaves come in all shapes and sizes, but this is steel. You have to forge it the way you can. And I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how much I love this anvil. This anvil is one of the most wonderful things, wonderful presents anybody's ever given me besides my son. But anyways, now that we got this back at the temperature here, and with just a few blows, you can see that I got that out into a spade shape. So now what we're going to do is we're going to heat this back up. We'll stick it back in the forge so it gets nice and hot. And we want this metal very hot, very, very hot. We don't want to take it to the critical temperature, but what we want to do is make it hot enough that it will flow down into the grooves that I have on that veining die. So let me get this set up.